It's time for today's travel and cruise industry news. With the latest from travel and cruises around the world, here's your host, Chillie Falls.
Hey, good morning and welcome to Wednesday Travel and Cruise Industry News Podcast with special guest Bethany Bartley this morning. This, of course, is December the 18th, 2024. The show is brought to you by Will U.S., the owner of Scoot-Around, and by chilliescruises. All right, we've got a really busy show this morning, quite a few smaller news stories, one major story, an unruly passenger dead after a bizarre incident, celebrity rescue, Carnival rebrand for Australia, a new dining reservation phone, Sapphire Princess delayed, Harmony aids stranded fishermen, Code Oscar on visions of the seas, and Vanuatu earthquake, and lots more live here at 11 o'clock this morning. Today, folks, is National Maple Syrup Day. I can dig that. I like pancakes. I like French toasts. But I can stand some syrup. Yeah, I like that on occasions. Wasn't anything major in this day in history today. However, today was the birth date of Ty Cobb back in 1886, Major League Baseball player who was nicknamed the Georgia Peach. He lived until 1961. I got to see him at a distance once, but I've never had a chance to meet the man. Of course, by the time I saw him, he was pretty elderly. Was in Washington for a ball game, as a matter of fact. I was with my dad at a ball game up in Washington. So, if you're listening via the podcast, you can always access the podcast via my blog, which is accessadventure.net, or wherever you get your podcast from. Just search for Travel and Cruise Industry News, and up pops the Fat Travel Guy. Anytime you're listening via the podcast and want to jump over to the video feed to check out an interview or pictures we're using or clips we're using on that day's show, there's always a link in the description of the podcast so you can do just that. Don't forget, folks, if you're going to the UK, you've got to secure your electronic travel authorization. The deadline on it is January the 4th, I think it is. You have to have it before you begin your travel. So if you're sailing like with us on the Bliss on January 4th, you have to have secured that before you get on the ship. If you don't have it when you show up at the Bliss, they're not going to let you on the ship. So take care of it now. Spend the $13 or whatever it costs. Then, it's just a matter of uploading a picture in your passport and done. Pay the $13 or whatever it is, and it takes them like a minute, and you get the authorization back, and it's good for 2 years. All right, so before we get to Bethany this morning, on Friday, we're going to have a special guest again, and that's my buddy Nate. Nate, just to bring you up to date, just got off the transatlantic Encore. There were some issues on the Encore, and of course, it also had 1,100 solos on that particular cruise, which that was just astounding. Nate got off the Encore and got on the Divina for MSC. So it's a bringing up to date because there were some things that I was confused on, especially the whole issue with the new app for Norwegian. We talked about that some. We did a little comparison between a Norwegian and MSC, but that's all coming up Friday. And then we had some fun too. All right, so here we got a special guest here again this morning. With no further ado, here's my buddy Santa Nate. Ho, ho, ho. Happy, Merry, whatever it is. I'm sorry. Stand up and flex the abs. There you go. Look at that. Nate has lost some weight. That is the bod. Nate the bod.
Who needs a six-pack when you can have my keg?
Yeah.
There we go.
Yes, very good. Okay. All right. So that's Nate. That's coming up Friday. It's a pretty good interview, folks. You want to put that one on your calendar. All right. So we're getting on with the business from today. All right. My special guest this morning, it's always fun to have her on. She's been on a bunch of times. She takes interesting river cruises and then premium ocean cruises, which is a little different than a lot of my audience, at least, takes. So it's always good to catch up with Bethany and see what's happening with her. With no further ado, Bethany Bartley, welcome back to the Travel and Cruise Industry News Podcast.
Hey, Chillie, how's it going?
It's great. All right, so you're coming to us. You're still actually in the Panama Canal on your way out. You're not quite back to Panama City yet, but just about.
That's right.
Your day started at dark 30 this morning as you were going into the Panama Canal. And of course, this is a partial transit for you. First of all, let's back up. Let's tell everybody what ship you're on to start with.
Yeah, I'm coming to you from the beautiful Azamara journey.
Right. This is your second or third Azamara?
This is actually my fifth on Azamara, my first on the journey.
Bit different because you sailed from Florida, from Fort Lauderdale or Miami, one of them.
Miami, yep.
Miami. But you're not going back to Miami.
I will eventually get back to Miami, but not on a ship, no.
You're getting off in Panama City.
Yes.
And then, flying to Miami and then driving back to Tampa.
Exactly, yep. I'll fly back from Panama City to Miami, pick the car up there, and then drive back to Tampa Sunday afternoon.
Okay. Now, have you been through the Panama Canal before?
I've not been through the Panama Canal. About 25 years ago, I was in Panama for a work trip, actually. And so I stood on the shore of the canal and watched the ships go by. But this is my first time in a ship through the canal.
Okay. Well, it's your pictures, of course, were those of us that have been through it or even just a partial transit are quite familiar, especially coming from this side. As you started off, and where'd the pictures go? You know me, I'm always confused. You started off early this morning and headed out toward the Gayton locks, and then you went under. Something that I always find fascinating is the Centennial Bridge there on the canal. And then you made it up to through to the lake and is this what's that called? The Pedro Miguel locks. Correct. And then you turned around and come back. All right. So what I found fascinating about your travel, following your travel stuff, is what you actually did in Cartagena a couple nights ago. I love Cartagena, but I've never been to Cartagena at night. How did that happen? Was that part of Azamara's trip? That happened. Was that part of Azamara's trip?
Yes. So on Azamara, they have one night every sailing. It's called an Azamazing Evening. And most of the time it's off the ship. And so the entire ship, and to set the stage for most of your viewers who travel large ships, Azamara ships have about 600 to 700 passengers, so much smaller ship. But everybody on the ship is invited to attend the event. It's no additional charge. And our Azamazing Evening this trip was in Cartagena, and it was at night. It was one of our late nights in port. And so we were taken to this absolutely gorgeous historic theater, and it was a Carnival show. So it was a troupe actually from Barranquilla, Colombia, came in and performed and entertained all of us all night long. It was a phenomenal evening.
Very similar to the ballet folklorico from Mexico, only the Colombian version.
Exactly. Yep.
So lots of singing, lots of dancing. And to me, what I find the most fascinating is the dancing of these folks. I love it.
Yeah, the show, it was probably about an hour-long show. They had several different stories they were telling throughout the night with different costumes and different music and different dancing. And yes, it was non-stop entertainment from start to finish. It was phenomenal.
And then you made it back to the ship, and I'm sure there may have been an adult beverage involved.
We were given champagne before we even stepped foot back on the ship. So yes, we were welcomed back warmly. The band was out on the deck playing for us. We were handed a glass of champagne, and we had midnight.
That happened. Was that part of Azamara's trip?
Yes. So on Azamara, they have one night every sailing. It's called an Azamazing Evening, and we had midnight snacks up in the Windows Cafe for those of us who were feeling a little peckish after our experience that evening.
All right. So I didn't realize you had been on that many Azamara ships. Give me a comparison of food on Azamara as opposed to other cruise lines, or even your river cruises that you so love.
Yeah, so I find the experience, so the only ships or the only cruises I've sailed with are Azamara, Crystal, and the river cruises of Avalon. And I find all three of them very similar when it comes to the food, both in the quality and the quantity of food. You're fed several times a day, as is typical on a cruise ship. But it's absolutely gorgeous presentations. There's a lot of local specialties that they offer. Here at Azamara, they do theme nights every night in the buffet that features a different country. Ironically enough, last night was the American buffet, so I skipped that one and I went down to the main dining room for a sit-down meal. But there's one main dining room on the ship, and then there's a buffet, and both serve breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Yep. As a solo traveler, how can I create this question without it sounding tacky? How's the solo scene on a smaller ship as opposed to what I'm used to on a Norwegian or something, where you may have, there's my partner Nate is on a cruise right now that has 1,000 solos.
Yeah, that's more than the total passenger count on the ship altogether. So yeah,
Yeah.
obviously much smaller proportions, but there are a fair number of fellow solo travelers. There is a solo get together every evening up in the lounge before dinner for those who wish to participate. It's not really my cup of tea, so I haven't been participating, but I happened to be in the lounge when they were meeting the other night, and there were probably a dozen or so people there
Oh,
meet up. So,
okay. So you got a nice number and a number that's easy to do things with. So if they so choose.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But now, Azamara does not have a casino.
That's right.
Okay. But you do have shows.
We do have shows, yes. So there is a cabaret lounge. There are 6 signature performers. So there are 4 singers and 2 dancers. So it's obviously a smaller production. There's a house band that's I think 5 or 6 piece band that accompanies them. The cruise director and assistant cruise director each have a performance one night on the ship. So yeah, there is a show every. Last night was actually game show night. So we had a couple different live game shows that were our shows last night, and those are both very, very fun.
Okay. You get off the ship every day with Azamara, or no? You do have sea days though.
Yeah, this cruise was actually my first cruise that had almost as many sea days as port days. The last couple I've done have been very port intensive. Actually, the last 2 I've done didn't have any sea days at all. This one was about 50-50.
Okay.
Yeah.
You have plenty to do on an Azamara cruise.
On the ship itself?
Yeah.
Plenty is probably a generous term because it is a smaller ship. As you said, there's no casino. There's one pool. There are no water slides or go-karts or anything like that. There's no movie theater. So the options are relatively limited. They do a good job of filling the days with activities, but it's a much more laid back activities. There's usually a couple that are arts and crafts. I did an origami class a couple days ago. They'll do some cooking demonstrations, some wine tastings. There's a lot of trivia, things like that. Those are the activities on the sea days.
All right. One other question that I have to ask you for, my looking at Azamara too. Are there disabled guests? Do they have handicap accessible cabins, ADA cabins?
Yes to both. So on this particular sailing, I have seen, I want to say 3 or 4 different passengers that are in wheelchairs. Some are full-time, the fully motorized wheelchairs, and there are a couple that are the manual push wheelchairs, but everybody seems to be able to maneuver very easily throughout the ship. I haven't seen anybody run into any trouble at all, and yes, there are ADA specific cabins available on each of the ships.
I guess I'm gonna have to put Azamara on my bucket list, because you make it look so wonderful. And folks, those of you that if you've never followed Bethany's Facebook page and where she posts all of her travel stuff, you got to check it out. I mean, I bring it to you on the show all the time, but for every picture that I use of Bethany, she posts 50. So, I mean, it's an education to follow her on a cruise. So, all right, what's next for Bethany?
Actually, I have 2 cruises booked in 2025. Both of them are going back on Crystal. So I've got one in February that'll send me over to Asia. So that'll be from Manila to Singapore in February.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah. And then in August, I will be back on Crystal going from Copenhagen to Reykjavik, Iceland.
Sweet. Nice. I'm spending almost 4 months in Europe next year.
I heard. I'm very excited to follow your
Yeah.
travels in Europe. You know,
I'm pretty excited about it. I leave New Year's Eve, and basically, I get back for a couple of weeks in the middle, but I'm basically in Europe until the end of April. So
that's fantastic. Fantastic.
All right, Bethany, as always, thank you for giving us a little bit of time. I know you had to pack before you could do this because you're getting off the boat tomorrow. But anyway, enjoy your last little bit of time in Panama City and have safe travels back, and we'll talk to you real soon.
I appreciate it. Thanks.
All right.
Good to see you, Chillie.
Thanks, Bethany. We'll talk to you soon. All right. That's Bethany Bartley. Of course, I'm going to screw something up, hitting the wrong button. Anyway, thanks to Bethany for that. And that's time to get on with the news now. I'll be back with the news after a quick break from one of our fine network sponsors. A really bizarre story to lead us off today, folks. A Royal Caribbean cruise ship en route to Mexico turned tragic after a passenger, 35-year-old Michael Virgil, passed away following a chaotic incident aboard Navigator of the Seas. The altercation occurred just an hour after the ship departed from San Pedro, California, on its way to Ensenada, and involved threats, violence, and attempts to subdue the unruly man. Passengers reported that Michael Virgil, who was reportedly intoxicated, became violent shortly after boarding. Witnesses, including passenger Christopher McHale, described how Virgil began yelling racial slurs, threatening passengers and crew, and attempting to break down doors. The gentleman that was drunk said he was going to kill us, McHale told reporters. He started chasing us down the hallways. In video footage captured by McHale, Virgil is seen shirtless, kicking a door, and screaming profanities. At one point, Virgil attacked two crew members, kicking one with steel-toed boots and punching another with enough force to knock him back several feet. A crew member reportedly managed to escape by locking himself in the towel room. Royal Caribbean security team eventually detained Virgil using pepper spray, zip ties, and handcuffs. According to witnesses, he was taken to one of the ship's two holding cells. A family member of Virgil claims security injected him with a sedative during the ordeal. Within an hour of his detainment, Virgil was dead. Royal Caribbean confirmed the incident in a statement. We are saddened by the passage of one of our guests. We offer support to the family and are working with authorities on their investigation. According to the relatives, Virgil was a devoted father and fiance who left behind a 7-year-old son with autism and a fiance, both of whom were on the cruise. Celebrity Cruises carried out a dramatic rescue off the coast of Cuba yesterday, successfully transferring a man from a small boat to the cruise line's rescue vessel despite rough, choppy waters. Celebrity Reflection was on a 7-day Caribbean cruise when it encountered an emergency distress signal around 11 a.m. and was approximately 40 miles from Cuba's north coast. A few guests spotted a small flare and notified crew members. The captain then launched emergency protocols and ordered a rescue operation as the vessel diverted from its course and made its way to the area. Celebrity Reflection deployed a rescue craft to retrieve the man, but rough seas and strong winds added to the challenge, extending the rescue operation to over an hour. Once he was transferred to the ship's safety, the unidentified survivor immediately received medical attention. He was said to be visibly exhausted, but conscious. Experience Alaska at an affordable rate. VR1 balconies are only $1,289, including taxes and port charges. MSC Poesia sells from Seattle, May 25th, 2026. Book now. Call 434-258-9264 or go to bit.ly/Poesia Alaska 1. Earlier this year, Carnival Cruise Line announced the Pacific Encounter and Pacific Adventure, two ships from the P&O Australia phase-out, would join the Carnival fleet. New details about the transition and what guests can expect are emerging. Though they will be rebranded to Carnival Encounter and Carnival Adventure by March of 2025, the cruise operator assures they'll be better than ever as part of the fun ship fleet. They will also retain many of the amenities that they've become known for. Cruisers can still expect the vessels to offer classic P&O venues, including the exclusive Byron Beach Club, the adrenaline-pumping Edge Adventure Park. Meanwhile, favorite dining options such as Dragon Lady, Angelo's, and Luke's Bar and Grill will continue serving hungry guests. Carnival's Fun Squad will host a wide range of special onboard activities like comedy shows, deck parties, and trivia games. The Turtles Kids Club will offer professional childcare services for toddlers under 2, and free daily pizza will be served every day from 11 to 4 p.m. Other child-friendly activities include Conga for Kids dance party, 80s rock and glow nights, and Build-A-Bear workshops. Experienced cruisers know it's important to make advance reservations for their favorite specialty restaurants, or risk being disappointed to learn every table is booked. To make sure guests have the best chance of dining where and when they wish, Princess Cruises has rolled out another way to book venues, a dedicated phone line that operates 24/7. Cruise fares must be paid in full before they can access the Dine line. The service can be used by couples and small groups, as well as large groups up to 50 people. All the dining rooms and specialty restaurants can be booked using the line, including Princess Cruises' most popular and unique venues. Sapphire Princess will be kicking off a next sailing, a 17-night voyage to Antarctica, on December 18th. However, the planned embarkation in Buenos Aires has now been delayed. This change became necessary due to reported gastrointestinal illness on the gem-class vessel's current voyage, which is another 17-night sailing to Antarctica, although it's unclear how many of her guests and crew members became sick. Before new passengers are brought on board today, the crew members will spend extra time sanitizing and disinfecting the ship to prevent any further spread of illness on the subsequent sailing. If you have some mobility issues, we've got big discounts on some of our most popular rental locations for the fall and winter. Take advantage of these limited time promotions on scooter and wheelchair rentals nationwide. From Orlando or Las Vegas, 15% off until December 31st. From Phoenix, Los Angeles, Anaheim, New Orleans, Washington, D.C., and New York City, 10% off until December 31st. Call Scootaround toll free 888-441-7575 or reserve online. Use SRN 11137 for the top rates. Harmony of the Sea's current sailing has been nothing if not eventful. First, embarkation in Galveston on December 15th was delayed by more than 8 hours, coming as a result of the ship going out of her way to medically evacuate an elderly guest at the end of the previous voyage. On December 17th, just 2 days into the current 7-night Western Caribbean sailing, the vessel came to the rescue of 4 stranded fishermen while sailing off the coast of Cozumel. According to current passengers who witnessed the rescue, the fishermen became stranded due to a mechanical issue and no one on board the smaller vessel required medical attention. The fishermen didn't want to leave the boat behind, so crew members provided them with provisions and a radio and made sure Mexican authorities were on their way to further assist the stranded group before sailing on. A 41-year-old man went overboard from Royal Caribbean's Vision of the Seas last night, according to multiple sources. Code Oscar, repeated 3 times, means a person has fallen overboard. It's not known at this time if additional rescue teams were called in and from which region they were summoned. Rescue teams have the ability to send search and rescue aircraft to help locate a person from a higher vantage point. At this time, there's no information on the success or lack of the rescue operation. A magnitude 7.4 earthquake struck Port Vila, the capital of Vanuatu, on Tuesday, causing significant damage to the city and its port infrastructure. The event has led to major disruptions for cruise ship schedules in the coming days, with companies such as Royal Caribbean, P&O Australia, and Carnival reassessing itineraries.
Cruise around the world with the Will Model C2. That's the chair that I use. Our chairs will easily fit through accessible cabin doors and can navigate those tight spaces and crowded places. To see if Will may be right for you, click on the link below to schedule a test drive. Just tell them to use code Chillie for all your mobility needs. That's scootaroundstore.com.
And that's going to put an end to the news portion of today's show. Again, a pretty busy morning this morning. All right, let's go see who's in the chess room. In that other room. What's that thing called? Oh, yeah, the chat room. See who's fussing at me today. Looks like we've got a nice number in there. We're up in the 130s. That's cool. Hot Air Tom is with us. Says happy Wednesday. Roger's here from Jacksonville. Hey, Roger. There's Mike on the other side of the pond. Katie's with us. Good morning, Katie. Down in where are you? You're in Florida. Down in the warm weather. Steve's with us out in Kentucky. Good morning, Steve. Hot Air Tom says, have you ever heard of a crepe on an NCL cruise? I have not. Need to make that a bucket list item for our next cruise. I haven't seen I don't believe crepes on Norwegian. They have crepes on MSC, and they have crepes occasionally on Royal Caribbeans. You know what a crepe is? A crepe is the same batter that I used in funnel cakes, only it doesn't have as much yeast in it. So you mix the thing up and you put a little on a crepe cooker, and you got a little thing that evens the batter out all around it. And, you get it cooked on one side, you flop it over, you put a bunch of stuff in the middle and fold it together. Several different ways of doing that. I tried cooking them for a while. They were too time consuming for me, too labor intensive. They're good because you can do so much with the toppings in a crepe. So Roger says, thinking of your funnel cake business, did you see that somebody got his funnel cake stolen by a seagull? He pulled out his pistol and shot the seagull. Oh my God. No, I don't recommend that by any stretch of the imagination. Give the seagull your funnel cake, for God's sakes. So, I'm sorry, I shouldn't be laughing at that one. Wow, that's a little bizarre. And no, Roger, I had not heard about that. So, Our Sonny's with us out in Mississippi. Hi, Sonny. Gretchen's here out in Ohio. Good morning, Miss Gretchen. Hot Air says, I'm wondering what airlines and cruise lines will need to prove you filed for the ETA. I have the approval email that I can bring up on my phone. Me too. That's exactly what I have. I would assume that somebody's going to ask for it. So, I mean, it's just like the boarding pass to get on the boat. It's right in the phone. So if I have to have it, it's there. All right. There's an ex-person, Even Smith. Good morning. Where are you from? Well, we're from all over. I'm from Virginia. This is a travel and cruise industry news show. The audience here is from everywhere. Because you're an ex, the regular audience in the chat room cannot see what you are saying. I can see what you're saying, but the audience can. If you wonder why nobody is responding to you, that's why. Still working with StreamYard trying to get this straightened out. But anyway, you guys from X are always welcome here. Emily's from up in New York's here. It says hello to everyone. There's Cindy. Hi, Cindy. Wow, that's hard to believe. Bethany's first trip through the canal. She'd done a partial before. Our first and second cruise was through the canal. Did another in 2019 on Bliss, and then twice on Joy a year ago, doing it back to back. I enjoy going through the canal. And, you know, there's several ways of doing it. You can go outside, especially in the summer months when it's hot as you know what. I did one trip through the canal, sitting in my room in my cabin watching it on TV, because I could hear the person doing the dialogue, you know, the naturalist giving all the information and stuff, and you're sitting there looking at the bow cam, you know, the front of the boat, exactly where you're going through. You can sit and watch everything that's happening when you're in the locks. You know, and it was like 117 degrees. And I think one of my trips to the canal, I'd started getting sick. And that was when I came down with COVID the first time. But yeah. Yeah, I enjoy it. If you've not done the canal, folks, by all means do it. There's a lot of cruises that are partial, like Bethany's on, where you go in about halfway and turn around and come back out. That's okay. You don't have to go all the way through if you don't want to. If you go all the way through, you've either got to take the cruise back, or you got to get off the ship and, like Los Angeles or San Diego, and fly back, or vice versa. You know, if you start start in Los Angeles, you get off the boat in Miami or Fort Lauderdale and get on a plane and fly back to California. So, but I enjoy the canal. Definitely, if you've not done it, do it. Miami to Panama City and back. Well, actually, she went to Miami to Panama City, and then the ship goes elsewhere, I believe, and then she's got to fly from Panama City back to Miami. It's just kind of a strange setup on that particular cruise. But I'm really interested now in doing Azamara. Number one, I did not realize that Bethany's been on 5. I think this was the third one that I've been around Bethany's travels. So yeah, I got to try that. I mean, there's things that I want to do that I haven't been able to do. One of them's a river cruise. And I know I'm probably not going to be able to do a European river cruise, so it's going to have to be an American river cruise. And I got to do something about the money, because that's way, way too expensive. Hot Air Tom says, wow to the funnel cake robbery. brings to mind the commercial, "Don't lay a hand on my butterfinger." I remember that commercial. Gretchen wants to know, did he recover and eat the funnel cake? What a nut. Yeah, that would be interesting to know. Who ended up eating the funnel cake? The bird or the nut with the gun? Well, no, because he shot the bird. Yeah, did he get the funnel cake back and eat it? That would be an interesting question. Emily says, Cindy, where are you today? She's probably up there around Orlando. I'm at home working. Next cruise on the Viva in just over 2 months. Emily says, I heard Viva is very nice. From YouTube, she seems like it. Yeah. It's a brand new ship. Bob says, good morning, gang. Hi, Bob. Got to do my check-in for Adventure of the Seas. 45 days to go. Yeah, but I like Adventure of the Seas. I want to do Adventures of the Seas again. I did. That was well worth it for me. It's been a couple years since I've been on adventure. But I'm going to have to do that again. Once I get back, after in April, at the end of April, and I start seriously looking at booking some other cruises. I'm not going to book them until then. One, I got to survive 4 months with Hot Air Tom. I might want to get out of the cruise business altogether after 4 months with Tom. No, I'm teasing, of course, on that one. I have a couple booked with MSC, but I don't have a whole lot of bookings yet for the end of 25 or into 26. And again, I'm being perfectly honest about it. I got to count the pennies once I get back from Europe. I don't want Hot Air Tom to starve to death. So I got to take a few little shekels to be able to buy him a McDonald's burger. Cindy at sea, do you do the thermal spa? That was my biggest complaint with Prima. Wondering if Viva resolved any of the issues. That's a very good question. There you go, Bob. Where are you going? Katie says, Bob, it'll go fast. Yeah, it will. Cindy says, booked this a long time ago, but Viva does look awesome. And it's Southern Caribbean from San Juan, so looking forward to it. No spa pass for this one, Tom. Hot Air says, we were originally booked on Viva for its transatlantic that left Portugal late at 24. I had to cancel that one. All right. Let's see. Emily says, hello to Todd. Joanne is with us. Good morning, Joanne. Cindy, let's see, that seems so lovely. Sounds very lovely. That's what Emily's saying. Cindy, maybe you can do an embarkation day tour of the thermal, find out if the locker rooms are any better. Small lockers, and is there a hot tub? Okay. Or therapy pool other than the soaking salt and freshwater pools. All right. I'm not a spa person, so I can't answer any of those questions. Sonny says, saw the video of the drunk guy on Royal Caribbean that died. Very sad. Alcohol not good for some people. Yeah, I mean, that was just a bizarre story. And I'm wondering where the legality is going to fall on that, because Royal Caribbean did administer a sedative that apparently mixed with the alcohol killed him. I mean, there's got to be an autopsy and an investigation done on that one. I just wonder where this one's going to end up. Alcohol is not mixed with taking medications. Yeah, tell me about it. That one I know for a fact. So I have to be very careful with the meds that I'm on when I can drink and when I can't drink. And I try to set my cruises up so I'm good for most of the time, most days. So, because when I'm home, I never drink. I'm a rarity. And I have booze in the house all the time. But I never fix a drink here. I think in the last year I've fixed one, maybe two in a year. And one of those was out by the pool. Where was his fiance? Did she know that he was acting out? From what I gathered, from what I saw and what I heard, everybody on the boat knew what this guy was doing. Maybe she was just afraid of him, or PO'd herself. Who knows? Drunk guy said he was going to kill people and chase some down the hall. One of the passengers he chased is one that took the video. Yep, that's correct. Said on the news story that the crew had restrained the guy, gave him an injection sedative. He was dead an hour later. Yep. John Heald will now have dumb posts on his blog about Carnival doing this for the acting out passengers cruise ship death penalty. Yeah, that's sucks. Was the sedative a good idea? They already had him tied up with zip ties and thrown him in jail. Well, you don't know what he's doing in the cell. I mean, because you're locked up in something doesn't necessarily mean you're behaving, Emily. I mean, there's no way any of us can answer that because we weren't there. Do I think it was a good idea? Probably not. Clearly not a good idea the way it turned out. But then I don't deal with drunks, where I've got to corral them. I don't know. I don't know what the protocols are for that. I'm sure we'll be hearing from his fiance, I would think. I've had crepes on MCL. They were limited times they were available. I think it may be noted on the daily schedule. I was trying to remember. I can't remember if I've had crepes or even seen crepes. I know I remember clearly seeing a crepe house, but I can't remember what ship it was on. Because I sat there and talked to the guy, pouring the crepes, cooking the crepes. And I can't remember what ship that was. I've seen crepes on several ships, and it doesn't stick with me because it's not that important to me. I wish I had a crepe pan. Actually, the crepe pans are not expensive, Emily. I mean, I had 3, and they were less than $20 a piece. I mean, it's just a round pan, and you pour a thin layer of the batter on it, and then you spread it out to make your circle, and you get good with the little thing that pushes the stuff around to smooth it out and make the crepe. But it's not an expensive process at all. And I think I sold crepes same price as funnel cakes, like $5 a piece, depending on what was in them. I know the gym cruise that Ken and I were on had crepes, the buffet in the evening. There you go, which is why I have not had one, never eat at the buffet. Well, I hadn't seen them on the buffet, Tom. I saw them as standalones, like in a walkway area. Katie says Icon had wonderful crepes. There you go. Royal Caribbean. I remember Royal Caribbean. That's true. I thought the crepes were a standard NCL thing if you find the station. I don't know. I did not have crepes on the Dawn. I've seen crepe stations on NCL, but haven't tried it. The guy got arrested. No, he didn't get arrested. He died. Well, he was arrested and then died in custody. NCL just announced a new cinema and dining experience called Silver Screen Bistro on the Bliss and Breakaway after their dry docks. Wonder if those get finished. Sounds interesting since we will be on both post dry dock. Chillie's going to make crepes for us all. Yeah, no, he's not. Chillie's done with that kind of cooking a long time ago. Yeah, I can't stand anymore, Sonny. I mean, I enjoyed cooking, but yeah, no. Those days are over. I can't even cook a steak anymore. I have to coach Amanda on cooking steaks. We had a steak dinner. I have to tell you this, folks. My buddy Gerald from the cruise ship Dr. Cruise, Dr. Jerry Vukovic, sent me a steak package for Christmas, which was clearly not necessary, but greatly appreciated because we had a wonderful steak dinner, Omaha Steak Company, night before last, and it was just out of this world. Amanda had some baked potatoes. She has an air fryer that'll bake potatoes. They do baked potatoes very well now. So we've been able to solve a problem. We were never able to have decent baked potatoes here. They're good now. Little salad, nice steak, and a baked tater. Yeah, it's great, a great meal. So my thanks to Jerry and family for the steaks. And I have to tell you, I became a fan. It was really good. We had 2 fillets and 2 sirloins. Of course, I'm a filet person, so I preferred the filet. But I had a half of the sirloin from my sister who eats like a bird. And it was good too. Wasn't as good as the filet, but then the sirloin is never as good as the filet to me. So anyway, I'm going to have to look into, when I get home again next time, I'm going to have to look into maybe ordering those. I keep seeing this advertising on TV. It's $90 for 4 steaks, 4 burgers, 4 chicken, 4 something else's. It's several meals. But I'm telling you, and again, folks, they're not a sponsor or anything, so I'm just saying this off the cuff. It was really good. I really enjoyed it. Cindy says, after Viva, everything she has is on MSC. Very good. I like MSC. Sonny, who is going to smuggle the crepes cooker onto the ship. Yeah, there you go. Not me. Not going in my suitcase. My criminal mind is working overtime. Yes, honey, you're going to get me in trouble. That's what you're going to do. All right, guys. I mean, I know that you guys give me hell about this all the time. Oh, nice number, by the way. I just glanced over at the audience number today. We're over 150. Thanks to all you guys from X that are out there in the nether world listening and watching us. Always good to have you. There's Gary Older Than Dirt just popped in. Omaha, in my opinion, has the best Franks. Oh, I didn't know that about that. Yeah, so I'm going to have to look into that. Anyway, no, I have not started packing yet. However, I am thinking about it, which is that's a step in the right direction, folks. Because I got tired of hearing about these cube things. I didn't know what the hell packing cubes were. So I asked Otter Tom what they are. In the meantime, I looked it up on Amazon and I said, well, hell, it's not very expensive. I'll try them and see. So I ordered some packing cubes. They're going to be here today, I think. Today or tomorrow. I don't know. So I have to figure out what to do with them, but we'll see. So anyway, I have not started packing yet. Number one, I still got to wear clothes. I can't pack for a month and still have clothes to live in. So I realize that with being gone for a month, that there's going to be some laundry done on the boat. I can almost guarantee you on that. Cruising Koozies is with us. Stopped in to listen while he's at work. Very good. Good. Always good to have you. All right, guys, that's going to wrap me up for today. Again, thanks for being with me. Make sure you mark on your calendar for Friday to join us, and it's a pretty interesting interview with Nate Villier on the Encore and the good and the bad and the ugly about the Encore Transatlantic. And then he got on Divina, which I've been on Divina before. Nate's been on Divina before as well. And doing a little comparison back and forth. The days of people complaining about MSC, I mean, they're over. MSC's doing so much better job in everything they do. If I can just work with them, get them to do better on accessibility issues, I'll keep working with them. So I will eventually we'll get them going on that end of it too. So, all right. That's going to wrap it up for today. Again, thanks to everybody for being with me. Pretty good show today. Look forward to seeing everybody back here on Friday. In the meantime, stay safe, stay healthy. Think about cruising. And hopefully one day soon we'll all get together on the high seas. You guys have a phenomenal Wednesday, and I'll see you back here on Friday. Have a great day, everybody.
I regularly post videos on all facets of the travel and cruise industry. So if you like to keep up with the latest in cruise ships, ports of call, cruises themselves, Chillie chats, and travel and cruise industry news, just hit the little subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner. Hit the bell notification so you'll be notified when a new video is up or we go live. This video was produced by Chilliescruises.